All right, how is everybody? Good Wednesday afternoon. I'm 10 Tampa Bay Chief Meteorologist Bobby Deskins. Happy Wednesday, everybody. I keep wanting to say Tuesday. Going to talk real quick about the tropics here for today. So I hope everybody's having a great day out there. Actually, have a little bit of rain on the map for us today here in the Tampa area, which is actually needed. We could definitely use some of that rainfall. So pretty good news there. We have a weak front coming through the area that will bring us some slightly drier air as we get into tomorrow afternoon, Thursday night. You'll start to feel the changes and we'll dry out just a little bit. Not a lot of rain out there today. All right, let's start off the top. Here we go. Three systems that we're watching. Really, it's kind of only two. Lisa is a hurricane. It's making landfall right now in Belize. Martin is a hurricane. East-northeast of Bermuda. It's way out there in the North Atlantic, top of your screen there. That's not going to affect anybody. So we're not too concerned about that one. And then this area that you see here hatched in yellow, that is an area that we think could get some development. If you've been following my videos and been talking about this, kind of a broad area of low pressure, might try and tighten up a little bit. Tropical development, maybe subtropical development, some cooler air, and not all warm and just a different type of atmosphere. And I'll show you that coming up here. But that's off the top. Those are the main concerns. So let's talk about it. There we are now. You can see that. Let's go ahead and we'll start down here with Hurricane Lisa. And there it is. You can see now making landfall in Belize, pretty much the central coast, maybe a little bit north of it. I think the worst is going to be just to the north. But you can see it will affect, obviously, Mexico. And will continue to move off towards the west around 14 miles per hour. It's a little more west-northwest of anything, but not much. So once it's over land, it will weaken quite a bit. You can see most of the center, well, it's just about there right now. If you look at that convection, the center is just about ready to make landfall. What time we got here? 4:24 on our Wednesday afternoon. 80-mile-per-hour winds at landfall. Pressure got down to 987. It's a small storm, but certainly, 80-mile-per-hour winds, nothing to shake a stick at, right? You know what they say. Let me go ahead and kind of look at this. The overall is like 100 miles wide. I mean, obviously a little bit taller than that, but the main core of this storm is relatively small. Here's the forecast model as of 2 o'clock this afternoon. It does a loop-de-loop, so it kind of looks a little weird there. But what's key to point out here is that when it does this loop-de-loop like this, it falls apart and it stays to the south, right? It doesn't come up here. It doesn't come on up, okay? So that's the good news right now. We think a high pressure to the north is going to go ahead and keep this off to the south. So this is a Mexico issue. It's not a terrible issue because it will be falling apart. It's not a big storm overall, but it's still big enough that it's going to cause some flooding in some places and some landslides and that type of stuff. Normally, a bigger hurricane would drop more rain. This is a smaller one, but this is still big enough that there will be some areas that have a flooding issue. Now, let's talk Martin. Carolina's over here, Bermuda right where the M is there, Martin way out here. So I don't want to spend a lot of time on it, but hey, 75-mile-per-hour winds. It's the 7th named hurricane of the season. In fact, we had Lisa this morning became the 6th, Martin became the 7th, and now you can see they haven't even given us an update. They'll give us another update around 5 o'clock. But that's obviously the center sitting way out here. All right, it's out in the middle of nowhere. Somebody asked yesterday, is it going near Ireland? Excuse me. You can see it is going to try and kind of skirt over there. At that time, it's about 50-mile-per-hour winds. It'll throw some moisture, I think, that way. But I don't think it's a major issue for them. Nothing that they're not used to. And the center, it appears, wants to stay offshore. But this will basically be extratropical. And when that happens, the highest winds kind of spread out from the center. So, it's going to be breezy over in the UK and Ireland, especially Saturday night, Sunday, and Monday as that moves by, okay? All right, enough of that. Now, let's get back down into here. So there's nothing here, right? There's not a cloud in the sky, really, if you look at the satellite. But what we think is going to happen is low is gradually going to be developing here. Right now, it has a 20% chance of developing. So let's look at the European model. Again, you can see Lisa here, and there's Martin. You want to be watching this area right here. See Puerto Rico down here, it says San Juan. Watch this area just to the north of that. This is now Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday afternoon right there, Sunday morning. See this weak low developing here? All right, so it's not even as much weather for San Juan. Oh, there will be some rain involved there. It's not a wind event for Puerto Rico, but there will be some rain for sure. And then look at this. This is going out through Tuesday. So that was Sunday through Tuesday afternoon. And now here it is. Something in here, right? Very broad area of low pressure. You're not seeing a bunch of isobars like you see right here, right? Where you see these white lines close to each other, get a little bit more wind. And that's happening for the Outer Banks. This is like a little bit of a nor'easter for the Outer Banks by Tuesday into Wednesday. So all these folks, down East Carteret County, Pamlico River, Pamlico Sound, and down all those creeks that are down there in southern, northern parts of Morehead City area, right? Carteret County. That's going to blow some water up, I think, all the way up into Newbern, right? How much? It doesn't look terrible right now, but that's a pretty decent amount of wind starting Tuesday and probably going through Thursday as well. So this is the Tuesday forecast. If you're in Florida, look, this is not a big deal, but it will bring us northeast winds. It will start to bring some moisture and I think a few showers along with it, which honestly we could use. And we're not talking a lot of wind, but certainly breezy to a little bit windy at times in the Jacksonville area, St. Augustine. They'll have to watch for some higher normal tides. I mean, look, they get that on a full moon. But depending on how this shapes up and how long this sits here, we're going to have a decent wind and I can push some water up there. But you don't see a big, deep tropical system here, okay? In fact, the GFS, which I don't really buy, has this low trying to form here, and then that falls apart and it forms another one, kind of broad one over here, and then it moves it up and out. So it just is not that impressive to me, but I think this will certainly be a nuisance. Look, this is the European model. If this happens, this is Wednesday afternoon. Both Beaufort, South Carolina, Charleston, Myrtle Beach, Wilmington, Morehead City, Jacksonville, all those areas, especially in the Outer Banks. That's a good amount of wind and a good amount of rain moving in there. Not a good day to go to the beach in the Carolinas on Wednesday. Even Thursday, still dragging in all this tropical moisture. And the folks there, which had some cooler, drier air, I mean, the tropical air is coming back. They're going to be feeling it. Fortunately, that kind of keeps it for us here, too. We'll get some drier air Thursday night, tomorrow night into Friday. I think gradually, especially by Sunday, that'll come back. So, look, that's 11 o'clock on Friday of next week. Okay, so we still have a lot to watch. I don't think it's a huge deal at this time, but I do think it's something that if you have property up along the Carolinas, it's something you want to keep an eye on because there will be some higher than normal tides. Look for the dark green here. Notice north of Puerto Rico on the right-hand side, you don't see anything. And in fact, we've got relatively drier air over top of us. But you see this here? This is that low developing. Watch this. So we go through Sunday. All the moisture's out over here. Could see an isolated shower, by the way, for the Bucks game Sunday afternoon. That's Monday, and here it is, starting to really take shape. And look at the moisture that's coming up and around this. That's what's going to get thrown back in our direction. Now, this is not all rain that I'm showing you. This is just moisture in the atmosphere. But what this means is that this is going to increase our rain chances a little bit as we get into Tuesday. And I think Wednesday is likely our better chance for rain, what you're looking at right there. Okay, so, yeah, interesting feature for sure. Don't be too worried about it. I'm not too worried about this particular point, especially for Florida, okay? Northeast Florida, we'll have to watch that for a little bit more wind. You could have some higher than normal tides. It's just too early to go out and say what we think we're going to get out of that. Carolinas, more than anybody else, you'll have to watch it, I think. There's the list of names. You can see we went out to Martin, of course, where we've been. Nicole is next up, but 7 hurricanes so far this season, right? Doing pretty good. Let's take a look at the models. We can do that. Let's start out with the chances for a tropical depression. You can see in this area right here, right? This is the European model. Chances of a tropical storm? Yeah, a little bit, right? See it right here off of the Carolinas, off of Georgia. Chances of a hurricane? Nothing out here. So development, it would be weak. This is tropical depression for the GFS model. Tropical storm, hurricane, it's just not showing much. It's got a very broad low. In fact, here is the GFS model. Let me show you. You're watching this area right in here, okay? Let me just go ahead and show you. I'm gonna watch right in here, okay? So this is Monday night, Tuesday night. Now look at this. This is Wednesday afternoon. You see the low here, and it's trying to split off into another low here. That is not a tropical system in that type of fashion. You don't tend to see that, right? It's not consolidating and strengthening or anything like that. So that's good. That's why I say it's kind of a broad area of low pressure. It'd be a little bit of a mess. But this is the GFS, and I'm not buying into this. It pops the low out over here of the eastern Gulf of Mexico after weakening the other, weakens that, and then gets it picked up and pushed out by a cold front coming through. Now, this is the European. That's what I just showed you for the most part. And this one just looks a little bit more likely. I mean, look at this by Tuesday night of next week. You see where all the rain is, right? It's all up in the Carolinas. You see a little bit coming through here for us. But rain and wind, for the most part, is going to be in the Carolinas down to Savannah. And then it falls apart, and here comes the cold front to pick it up as well, too. All right, guys, that's it. That's really all I got for you today. I hope you have a great, rest of Wednesday afternoon. I'll keep an eye on the tropics for you. Coming up at 5 o'clock tonight, I'll have the latest. Really, I think the only thing to update is where Lisa is and what the chances for development are of our little yellow hatched area right there. I mean, for being busy, beginning of November, there's really not a lot to talk about other than that, just because we have to wait and see what that one looks like. Okay, that's it, guys. I hope you have a great Wednesday afternoon. I'll check in with you tomorrow, keep you updated on all of it.